There we go. Let's try that one. Hello and welcome back to Dukes on Switch. It's been a little while. I've been off playing Paper Magic, playing in a few tournaments locally, which is nice. So Magic Fest Brisbane just happened, which was really fun. There's a really good legacy scene there. There's a Friday Championship, which had 63 players and a top 8. Shout out to Jitte, a local player who actually won that event. So good on him. And also Sean Brown from Melbourne, down south, who some of you may know from This Week in Legacy. He used to write for that, was obviously a very good writer for it, a very good rug player. But yeah, a really good weekend, some really good side events. Maverick went pretty well. Maverick went really well. I was playing Green White Black Maverick. I believe overall I went 18, 4, and 2 in my side events. So really like the deck. I picked up some last foils for it, which is really cool. So the deck is fully lit, as some would say. But tonight we're actually just going back to sort of the traditional build of Green White Maverick, and I'm wanting to play this list, which is what Julian 5-0'd with, and a few other people have 5-0'd with his list, which is just Green White Maverick. So really the most traditional build of the list, of the archetype, sorry. Really relying on just the sort of consistency of the deck to really bring out sort of the best of what Maverick offers in regards to sort of like the fair meta game and what it brings to that. So we are playing with Questing Beast still. Questing Beast is really fun. Julian said himself that it is probably one of the last flex slots that he's dealing with at the moment. Shifting Ceratops is another card that's great right now. Pro Blue is really nice. Can be countered is even better. There are times where against the Daze deck, Questing Beast just seems a little bit off. You know, if we're being able to cast a 4-mana spell, we're probably in a pretty good position anyway. But I really like Questing Beast. The Exalted triggers from Hierarchs and Qasali Pridemage does actually mean we can kill an Oko if it's ticked up, which is kind of nice with Questing Beast. But we'll see if that happens tonight. One card that's really interesting in the main deck is Aven Mindcensor, which is a card that has not really seen that much legacy play since, I'm going to say a little while ago. Von Snickety, welcome. Thank you very much for the ongoing 10 months, I believe. Yeah, 10 months. Very cool. Support. Very cool to see you at GP Brisbane. Very cool to see you pimp out your deck with some Guru Basics and some black FBB jewels. But I hope you got home safe. Good to see you in the stream. We're talking about Aven Mindcensor, which is probably a card I've cast against you at least once. So Aven Mindcensor is a taxing effect creature where your opponent can't search their full library. So things like Stoneforge Mystic, Infernal Tutor, Green Sun Zenith, Entomb. There's a stack of searching abilities on top of just fetch lands in Legacy. So Aven Mindcensor does have a bit of relevance against nearly every deck. Even something like Eldrazi that doesn't run fetches does run Ayavugan. So we are going to have some interaction there as well. And then just as a flyer, outside of Scryb Ranger, Maverick does have sometimes a pretty hard time dealing with a turn 1 Delver. We do have 4 Swords of Plowshares, but we have to find them. You know, we're not a deck with cantrips. We're not a deck with sort of card choices that we can get there, that we can use to actually sort of make sure we're always at least trying to draw into Swords of Plowshares if they do drop an early threat. But the Aven does stick out as a flyer, which is nice. It's not a great card versus Delver, but it's nice to have that up. I really hope tonight we play on the play against the Stoneforge deck, because with Noble Hierarch, if we turn 1 Noble Hierarch and then turn 2 Aven, we can actually get something like an end step Entomb or a turn 2 Stoneforge from our opponent, which is pretty nice. What we do lack in this build is an answer to True Name Nemesis, which is definitely an issue for a fair deck like Maverick. We don't have great outs to True Name outside of giving our creatures protection with Mother of Runes and just beating face. Questing Beast does allow us to actually attack pretty well into a True Name as well, because it does say combat damage that would be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented. So the protection element of True Name Nemesis actually doesn't stop Questing Beast from dealing damage to it, or other creatures that you attack with Questing Beast on the field, which is really nice. To the sideboard, we're playing Deafening Silence. I really like this card as turn 1 interaction. It's great against the Dark Ritual decks. So looking at things like Red Black Reanimator, Storm, and Ant in general. And then also looking at things like Bomberman. Bomberman has been showing up recently online. And so having a really nice card against them that's pretty hard to get off the table is pretty sweet. It doesn't stop Elves though, so I am still running one Canonist over the 3rd Deafening Silence. That's the only change I made. I didn't really want to make changes to this list, just to see how we could go with it through a league and sort of take out what we get from the same list that Julian played. And then we do actually have the 3 pieces, including Batterskull, for a Stoneforge Mystic package, so that's really nice. We do have Gaea's Cradle, which is really nice. It kind of acts as the other side of the other or 3rd or 4th Stoneforge Mystic, because with Cradle and Noble Hierarchs and Birds of Paradise, we do have a way to get Batterskull out of our hand. If Stoneforge does die, we don't just have sort of a dead card in hand. It is going to come down pretty soon, so that's pretty nice as well. That's pretty much it. The Gideon's pretty interesting. I think the Gideon is going to be great against the control decks and the Plague Engineer decks. Having sort of a pseudo out to Plague Engineer through Gideon's emblem, giving all our creatures +1/+1 is really nice. So yeah, it's gonna be a pretty fun league. It's pretty nice to go back to just green-white, because when you're on the Black Splash and you're up against the decks that play Wasteland, where black really matters, you can be locked out of it. Most lists only run a Bayou and a Scrubland, so if your opponent is really really going to target your mana and they go after your black mana, you might have to rely on something like a Birds of Paradise to stick around to actually cast those black spells. So that is it. A huge thank you to mtgmate.com.au, who is the sponsor of the channel. If you're in Australia, you can get these singles off the site for like 5% off. Duke's my lord and savior. Hey, welcome to the channel. And then also a huge thank you to Card Hoarder, who sponsored the channel. Allow me to get these cards ad hoc. You can use a code below me to actually get there. Asheen, a huge thank you. 15 months is really special. We gotta do something about that, because I believe you're my longest now. Asheen is very cool, so thank you very much. You got me a haha shrug. A huge thank you. All right, Paul. Let's get straight into this and see how it goes. Should be pretty fun. Any insight on why we don't use one Giver of Runes anymore? That's an interesting question, because the we part is quite subjective. So I think people are just really happy that Ren's gone, that they're wanting to run the full 4 Givers. Sorry, 4 Mother of Runes. Over the weekend, I actually played a green-white-black list with 2 Givers, 2 Mums, and I really enjoyed it. I thought the Giver was really good. It was great against the Plague Engineer decks, and it was also great against the Eldrazi decks that I ran into. It's also great in the sort of Death and Taxes pseudo mirror, because the protection from colorless really adds up. You know, you're giving protection from a Phyrexian Revoker that's attacking. You're giving protection to your legendary creatures from Karakas. Even things like Jitte, it takes a few hits to die to a Jitte, and you can give other creatures protection from Jitte. I definitely like some sort of switch, so like a 3-1 or a 2-2 split. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this sort of the 4 mothers go in this build. Because Julian obviously loves it, so I'll definitely back his opinion for green-white. And Facepalm of Caldra, welcome. Hope you're having a good week. Hope you're all having a good week. It's gonna be fun. I haven't played online in a little while, so I'm pretty happy about it. See how it slides. I might have got some sound effects to go in. That's just a little thing. Okay, so we're up against Yamaro. Looks like we're on the draw for this game, which is more than fine. Yeah, I really like Giver. I think Giver's definitely got a point to be in the deck at some slot. So this hand's not too bad. It is missing some sort of acceleration through like a Noble Hierarch or a Green Suns. It is quite fair. There's no Thalia. There's no way to tax our opponent through like a Wasteland other than getting the another Reliquary online, but I think this hand is fine to keep in the blind. A turn 2 Stoneforge, holding up a Batterskull, or just playing one of these on turn 3 is really nice. If we want to play around days, we could even just hold up Stoneforge and then play like one of these creatures on turn 4. So I'm going to keep this. But it will be interesting to see what we're up against. Hey, SLD. Boyd, a huge thank you. That means a lot. Hope you had a great time at Magic Fest Brisbane, working for Gaea. Wasteland's pretty nice, so I'm just going to lead on this Verdant Catacombs. I don't really want to get Wastelanded out like some sort of like Delver start. So I'm just going to play this fetch land and pass. We're not running Sylvan Library, so there's no real reason to keep the fetch land other than Tireless Tracker, but I'd much rather play the Verdant here, and then we also have a Knight and Ramunap later on to maybe start getting some clues off this Tireless Tracker, so that should be pretty fun as well. Astrolabe. More like Astrolame. I mean, come on. So I don't think I'm up against a Wasteland deck, which is nice. But I'm still just going to get a Forest out of my deck here. I don't really want to draw a Forest, so I'm more than happy to fetch there. Windswept Heath, okay. So I do have the option here for just going for a basic Plains, but I'm going to keep this around for the Tracker, so maybe next turn we can go Knight. You on the man shakes. No, I skipped dinner, so I thought I'd have like a it's what I usually have for breakfast. It's just like oats and banana and ice and cocoa, which is pretty nice. I'm gonna get Batterskull here. The one reason I really like playing Batterskull in Maverick with Stoneforge Mystic is it makes Stoneforge more of a threat. So if you just have sort of the normal equipment in the deck. I'm not sure if we're lagging. Let me quickly check something. Oh, internet's pretty good. I think. Yeah, we're looking good. We're looking okay. Sounds like a shitty flavor of pizza. Interesting. Okay, so Strix is going to be pretty annoying. We haven't gone for Sword of Fire and Ice, so we can't really attack through the Strix right now. And the Wasteland is kind of turned off by this Astrolabe, which is a little bit annoying. I can blame Telstra. I'm actually with Aussie Broadband, so... Yeah, it's very true, Boyd. Thank you very much. Interesting, though. Very interesting. I always feel like my heartbeat's like sort of jumping out of me when I hear the connection like failing. I'm like, but yeah. Just a pass from my opponent. Monkus. So maybe here I'm actually just happy. My opponent has 6 cards in hand. So I have the option here of just holding up Batterskull and playing the Windswept Heath to get something like a Dryad Arbor later on. I don't mind probably just playing out the Noble here and passing. With Stoneforge up. It's a shame this doesn't really do anything with the Strix in play, but it sort of gives us another turn to draw into something like a Swords to Plowshares. Next turn we can even cast Tireless Tracker, then play a Windswept Heath straight away, which is kind of nice, just to try to get some of those clues happening ASAP. And looks like just a pass from my opponent. I really hope this isn't like a Colligan's Command deck. I'm going to assume it's some sort of bug control deck. There definitely is some sort of lag though, which is pretty annoying. Oh, Jitte is actually kind of nice. I still think I'm happy just running the tracker out here. Not playing around double days so I can get value off this Windswept Heath. Nice. I can also just attack for 2 here with Stoneforge, which I don't mind. I could have held up Jitte as well, but I like just holding up a clue here and maybe drawing into cards, because I think if I can stay on par with card advantage with my opponent, then we're going to have a pretty good time in this matchup. But Strix is definitely a card that's pretty annoying. We have the 4 swords, we have Sword of Fire and Ice, and also Scryb Ranger, but outside of that we don't have too much else to kind of play around this 1/1 Death Touch. Prismatic Vista. So if they do have a removal spell, I assume they do it on the Tireless Tracker in response to the fetch. But if not, that's pretty nice for us. I'm gonna get a basic here. And just crack this clue. But I wish I knew why this is lagging so much. Okay, that's pretty nice. Windswept. Okay, we played the Windswept, we got some value. And now I'm pretty happy to use Stoneforge Mystic's ability just to fade in counter spells, put in Sword of Fire and Ice. Probably put it on the Batterskull still. Wow, not a single removal spell. Interesting. Now I'm pretty happy just to pass back with a clue up. Oh, Cunning Wish. Interesting. Getting an instant. Intuition. Okay. So one really interesting... Yeah, I might restart after this. One really interesting thing that I picked up that Julian pointed out was that if you have clues on field, and your opponent attacks with an Emrakul and you sack clues to Annihilator, the Tireless Tracker still gets a bit of love, because it's whenever you sacrifice a clue that it gets a +1/+1 counter. So even if you sacrifice it to another effect like Annihilator, you still get the counters on Tireless Tracker, which is very cool. I guess we'll give them Show and Tell. We already have the Karakas in play. So we're just going to put in Knight here. But they have Omniscience, and they have Emrakul, which is pretty rough. But I wonder if we can beat it because we have so many permanents in play and so much life. We can actually fetch to get another clue as well, which is really cool. Just really hope we don't hit a Cunning Wish from my opponent. Wishclaw Talisman, interesting. I think that's it, sadly. This is a really interesting build. Going to combat, okay. Trigger on the stack will fetch. Get a Savannah. And then we'll sack 6 permanents. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because they have 2 Omniscience, I think I'm happy just sacking this Wishclaw Talisman. So we still get the triggers, which is really nice. I wonder if they just like got another Emrakul. I reckon they got another Emrakul, because then they have another turn. Yeah, rough. And we can't block it, so that's going to be game. That was a pretty fun game. So I don't mind Choke, although they run so many basics. Banishing Light are pretty great at putting in off Show and Tell, same with Knight of Autumn. I think Questing Beast can most likely come out. Aven Mindcensor is okay. It stops intuition and also stops fetches and also I think that's enough. Anything to tax. Scavenging Ooze can come out. Excavator can come out, especially seeing how many basics they had. We could probably drop down on like 2 sorts of Plowshares just in case they have another Baleful Strix start. We do want some access to destroying them. With the intuitions, I don't mind Surgical. I definitely like Canonist. Collector Ouphe is interesting, especially against the Astrolabes. But I'm not sure it's worth it. I think Deafening Silence is probably worth it, especially if they're going for the intuition lines. This is like a 4-color Show and Tell deck. I think we can take out Batterskull. I'm pretty happy just going for an aggressive start with if we're trying to Stoneforge in this matchup, especially because with the Baleful Strixes it doesn't make that much better. But the Collector Ouphe's interesting. So Collector Ouphe does turn off their Astrolabes, which makes the chokes a little bit better. So maybe that's actually worth it. I would usually cut a land, but since we're only on 22 land, I don't really want to cut a Wasteland. So this is interesting. We have 2 more to cut. Knight's still great. I'm going to cut 1 Mum. And maybe a Zenith. I think just because we're not going for one specific hate bear in this matchup, the Zeniths can get cut. I'd rather just draw a creature than the Zenith and kind of spend a turn grabbing one. But that's always a pretty tough piece. That's 60 right there, which I don't mind. I think there's some sort of merit to bringing in Surgical because they are on the Intuition plan, but I think this should hopefully be enough. Especially if we can get a Banishing Light into play. Banishing Light doesn't stop the Cunning Wish line if they do have both Omniscience and Cunning Wish, but we'll see how we go. It sounds great from a mana perspective, but I think it's a little bit too slow. It doesn't have anything we brought in. It doesn't really have too much... it doesn't really have too much of a plan either. We're playing a turn 1 Mum into a turn 2 Pridemage to attack for 3 on turn 3. I'd rather much have something like a Thalia or at least something really good to put in off Show and Tell. So we're going to mulligan this. This hand's a bit better, but it's the old one-lander being a Wasteland, which is pretty rough. So I don't think we can keep this, especially on the play. But having pretty much all the pieces we need is pretty nice. It's definitely very enticing. If we draw into a fetch land or a dual land, we're pretty much set from the get-go. But I think we can just get stuck also keeping this. So I'm going to mulligan this. Again with just the one Wasteland. I would never mull the 4, but this hand just doesn't do anything, unfortunately. Alright, we'll keep this, and we'll drop Tireless Tracker, Canonist. I really want these, I think. Or maybe I want the Thalia. I think we drop the choke. I really want the pressure. So I'm happy to go just Savannah into Noble Hierarch here. Ponder, that's cool. There's definitely merit to keeping the Canonist as well. I don't think my opponent... I guess we can actually play the Thalia like this and attack for 1. Definitely all heads up. They're gonna force it, okay. Wishclaw Talisman, interesting. I think we just let them have this. The Green Suns is interesting. I can either get Gaddock Teeg or Knight of the Reliquary. I could also get Scryb Ranger, but I don't really care about my mana right now. I feel like I have everything. Hey, Echo, welcome to the stream. I haven't seen Red, but we have seen Astrolabe, so they could definitely be really anything. I'm going to go for the Pridemage, and then just pass. This is going to be fine. I wonder if I want to deal with this now then. Choke's pretty nice. It does mean though that we can't blow up the Wishclaw, but I think it's worth it. Hey, that's awesome news. It's it's a pretty nice feeling when you finish your 75 in paper and just hold it. So a huge congratulations, Echo. That's really cool to hear. Big fan of that. Interesting, they're getting something. I think we just get another Banishing Light with this. I think we get a Banishing Light and then we blow it up with Qasali Pridemage. Ooh, Massacre. Rough. Okay. Didn't really think about Massacre in this matchup. But a pretty great find for my opponent nevertheless. Okay, land's pretty good. So land means that we can fetch up. Just go for another Savannah. Maybe I actually didn't want to use it. That's an interesting line. I still don't mind. I still don't mind getting Thalia here, and then just really keeping that pressure on the field, because we're definitely not winning this matchup if we're just trying to, have a hand that's great to react to show and tell. I'd much rather have creatures on the field that are actually putting down my opponent's life total, and currently we have a 6-turn clock, so it's not over, but this Wish Claw is going to be pretty nice, especially for a deck that only needs 1 or 2 cards to combo off. Wish Claw is going to give them some pretty nice outs, I'm going to say. Knight's pretty nice. Let's attack first. So if our opponent double fetches, next turn we can actually Wasteland ourselves to make the Knight a 6/6 and swing for 8. I actually don't mind this line, because that means it turns off our opponent's lands. Wow, we got there. So what we did there was Wasteland our own lands, so the Knight becomes a 6/6, and what it really does is turns off our opponent's fetches because they go down to 8. So we get there, which is really nice. Especially in a Mulder 4. This is a very fair deck. We're playing against a pretty unfair deck. But, having the right amount of hate at the right time is pretty nice. So Massacre is an interesting one. I don't think there's too much to change here. Collector Ouphe is actually kind of nice now, because we saw the Wishclaw Talismans. Maybe it's something like Tracker that I'm a little bit more hesitant on, because this game's probably not going long. So I think Collector Ouphe is really nice. It doesn't really work well with our Jitte and sort of Fire and Ice, but I think that if we have Collector Ouphe in play and we're in a pretty good position, we're going to be winning the game anyway, so I don't mind this sort of setup. I think we'll just run the same list back. I could definitely cut equipment if I wanted to. The one issue that we have is that we did see Baleful Strix in game 1, which I assume will be there in game 3. And we don't really have a good way through them outside of Mother of Runes to actually keep threats on board and attacking our opponent's life total. I'm going to mulligan this. I don't like a 1-lander, and I definitely don't like a near 7-lander. I think we're going down again. Sounds great, but it's the 1-land, the Wasteland hands that don't really do too well. This hand's great. We'll keep this. And I think we'll go... Bottom the bird. This is an interesting one. I could keep the bird, but I think we want to keep the mana. Oh, actually, if I drop the Savannah, we can play around Massacre by not playing a Plains and using Horizon Canopy as a white source. So I'm gonna bottom the Savannah. I'm gonna bottom the Wasteland. Nope. I'm gonna bottom the Birds of Paradise and the Savannah. And the Green Sun Zenith. And then just keep these 2 lands and these 2 hate bears. I think that's pretty good. You say Green Sun Zenith? Interesting. Green Suns is nice, but I think it only really gets Gaddock Teeg. It does get Qasali Pridemage as well, but I think just having these 2 threats are going to be really nice, especially with the first strike of Thalia. So I'm going to drop this and just keep the 4 creatures. Especially because they're 2 creatures that we can't find off Green Sun Zenith ourselves. So it's nice to have them in the opening hand. Knight, okay. Let's go for Horizon Canopy pass. If this is a Wish Claw, I'd love to see Collector Ouphe off the top. It's not going to be. That's fine. Stoneforge. Okay. Let's do Thalia first. Green mana. Oh, Sylvan Library. Interesting. Okay. I think here, because of Show and Tell, I'm happy to put in the Canonist of Show and Tell. Okay, let's just assume that next turn my opponent's going Show and Tell. If they put in an Omniscience, we're fine because we have Ethersworn Canonist, and we also have Thalia. If they put in Emrakul, we kind of want to put in Knight of the Reliquary, because we want to untap and be able to Karakas. So I think we're actually running 3 Savannah in this list. So here I actually want to play out the Canonist, just so that if they do Show and Tell, we can put in a Knight, and it saves us both ways. So it saves us through both Omniscience and also through a Karakasable creature like Grizzlebrand or Emrakul in this situation. That's true, there's no forest. We have to draw the forest. Which, if we're drawing like we did game 2, we should be okay. A pond is pretty nice because it means that they're definitely not casting Show and Tell this turn. It's giving us a little bit more time, but it's also giving them time to set up. Another Strix is okay. No attacks is really interesting. So this turn I don't mind just going for Noble Hierarch. And then attacking with Thalia for 3. Exactly, so Thalia with first strike's really nice. What I don't understand is the no attack from Baleful Strix last turn if they're not blocking Thalia there just to have some life. It does mean they don't get to draw 2 off Sylvan Library, which is really relevant. Looks like they're definitely paying. They could even be going for like a hard cast Massacre. Okay. So here I'm pretty happy playing this Knight of the Reliquary. Stoneforge I don't really want to put in. I don't really care for a equipment right now. I think we just go for Knight here. So now we get 2 draw steps to draw a forest. Can we do it? 1. Oof. No. 2. Ah, no. Okay. Rough. Yeah, so I think I can. I can't even attack with everything. So what I kind of have to do is attack with everything because they have lethal with 1 Strix. Sadly, I think that's just it. I do have to keep back things. But if I keep back everything, that is attacking the air for lethal. Surely they know that's the line. I can play out a Stoneforge here if I wish. They might think I have like a sort of Fire and Ice. Sorry, they might think I have a sword of Swords to Plowshares to like Plowshare my own guy. 2, 4, 6. I definitely still play the Stoneforge here. Rough. That was close. That was close. Yeah, so if I attack with everything, they block 2 and go to 1. Both die, and then I lose everything, so I think sadly this is just game. But we'll see if they attack. So close. So close. Just no cigar. No cigar. Ugh. They did. They did. Alright. We are 0-1. But that is fine. That's a really cool deck. I mean, it's very cool to see a show and tell deck that runs so many colors. And then also Wishtail Talisman. They're doing a fair amount of work. The moles definitely hurt, but I think we had the tools with a hand of 4 to definitely put up a fight, which is always nice. Just sometimes doesn't come up. Come up short. Definitely a good sweat though. Interesting to see Duplicator and your London on the same trophies. I know your London's been the front runner for a long time, but Duplicator has kind of come out of nowhere. I've definitely seen them around, and I believe we've played against them before as well. Well, you're here for game 2 on the draw against Funk a Lunk. This hand's sweet. We'll keep this. The battle scale kind of makes this a 6, but I'm pretty happy to keep this 6. Delta. So they most likely take the Green Suns here because this is most likely Storm or some sort of combo deck. And Gaddock Teeg is a pretty big card in this matchup. So I think the take here is most likely Green Suns. Hey, iBuffo. You two, apologies. I'm not sure who you are. I wish I did. I'm really sorry. But I hope you had a great time at the GP. It was really fun. I assume you played in the Legacy side events. I'm gonna be an idiot. You're gonna be someone that I definitely know, and this is just brushing my mind. But yeah, the GP was really fun. Had Legacy on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was pretty good. Ah, nice. How many modern events did you play? I don't mind just land here, pass, and then hold up Scryb Ranger. We can actually attack with the Mum here because of the Scryb Ranger. This definitely seems like a combo deck. The Preordained and Thoughtseize definitely give that away. So I'm going to assume Storm. What's nice is with the Scryb Ranger is next turn, even if we miss a land, we can still cast the Ramunap by returning a land. Yeah, the pig was really fun, especially on Saturday night. I didn't get to the casino, but I wish I did. I know a lot of people went. Would have been pretty fun. Would have lost a ton of money. All right, looks like our opponent is about to storm off. Will we see a Dark Ritual? We will. Could even be an Adnors. I don't think it's an Adnors because they just played the LED. Dark Petition, okay. Storm count 5. 3 black. Probably getting a Past in Flames here. Sack the Lion's Eye for red. And then they have 6 mana in pool. And then they can just go down to, I believe with Flashback it's 4. So they have 2 in pool. Dark Writ is 5. Dark Petition then. Yeah. Storm is playing Grape Shots. That's pretty disgusting. I actually just finished Storm, which is really nice. For me, not so much for my opponents, hopefully, if I learn the deck well. Interesting. Adnors. Okay, so they are going for an Adnors line. Maybe, yeah, my count wasn't too much, maybe. Dark Writ to 6. Oh, they definitely have it now. Unless they need 1, 2... Yeah, maybe they need like another Dark Ritual. I guess any ritual, because the Lotus Petal does it even for a Cabal ritual with 1 floating. This is where I really like Deafening Silence. I think Deafening Silence is just so much better on the as a turn 1 interactive spell compared to like Chalice for 1. Wow, still no. Still no. There it is. They got there. I'll let them play it out, but they've definitely got enough Storm there. Deafening Silence is great. Canonist is great. Surgical is fine. Collector Ouphe is fine. Tormund Script is okay. I don't mind the chokes. I don't mind the Knight of the Reliquary just because Storm usually plays out their artifacts to play around Thalia. Swords can definitely go out. Ramunap can go out. Tireless Tracker can go out. I'm happy to drop a Knight. I'm happy to drop probably 1 Mum. Probably one land. Most likely just a fetch land. I still like the Stoneforge Mystic plan because of Questing Beast can definitely come out. There we go, that's 60. They had an LED very early on, unfortunately. Let's just go with this and see how it goes. I really want to see a Storm player play the 3-mana 7/6 dinosaur that makes you discard in your upkeep. Ooh, Deafening Silence is there, but sadly no mana. It's the Lonely Wasteland hand again. Rough. Alright. So this is a great hand if they don't have Thoughtseize. Otherwise, the Green Sun's Fatigue is really nice. But I think outside of that, we don't have enough to really keep this hand. Because I'm going to assume this Green Suns isn't in the hand. I think there's definitely a good 5 in here somewhere. And maybe I just have to hope that they don't Thoughtseize turn 1. But it's tough. Modern Jund? Very cool. Especially with Dark Confidant, you're always getting the... I believe you can stack the triggers if you want, so you can discard first and then draw the extra card off Bob. I think I'm a little bit forced into keeping this. I don't really want to go to 4 cards, and I'd rather keep a hand that gives me the mana to cast anything I draw into. So I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to bottom the Karakas and a land. And then just hope the top of the deck's kind to me. We didn't get a Savannah. Are we going to get a Savannah? I'm going to get a Forest. And I'm going to try to play this game without playing a Plains. Even though we're going Fatigue with this Green Suns, hopefully. I don't want to turn on Massacre from my opponent. And a start with just Ponder is fantastic for us. Especially if we can get the Mum online as well. However, I didn't want to lead with Mum because it means we can turn 2 Green Suns with Noble out. So let's go for Windswept Heath. I think I should have kept the Karakas. If I really wanted to, I could have got a Savannah there as well, because we knew we were getting the Gaddock Teeg online. So we don't really have to care about Massacre unless they get rid of the Gaddock Teeg with like a bounce spell or a removal spell before the mums come online. It does mean if we don't draw into a white source, we can't deploy both mums. But I think in this matchup, 1 should be enough. Unless our opponent goes sort of Fatal Push, Protection, untap, destroy with like Abrupt Decay or bounce it with Chain of Vapor and then goes off. You can also go a Scryb Ranger or Green Suns. Interesting. Do I want a Green Suns again? Definitely play Mum. Definitely attack for 3. I'm going to keep this Green Suns for hopefully a Qasali Pridemage. Or maybe even a Night of Autumn. I don't think just getting a Mana Dork is really what I want to do with this Green Sun Zenith. Hey, Beloyd, you're 100% correct. We cannot Green Suns with Gaddock Teeg on the field. Bada bing, bada boom. A huge thank you for pointing that out. I'm very happy that I didn't actually try to Green Suns there, because it would have been like, why is MTG doing this to me? Alright. Bayou's always scary, because it most likely means something like Abrupt Decay. Rough. Ugh. Ad nauseam again? Infernal Tutor, okay. Infernal 4 ad nauseam. There have been some pretty cool lists that have been running sort of a banned Maverick list with Teferi in them, Foster Storms in the sideboard, a few other cards, Oko of course in the deck as well. It's definitely very heavy on the 3-drops. I believe it ran 4 Noble Hierarch, 4 Gilded Goose, which is pretty insane. Running all 8 mana dorks. Interesting. What are they getting here with full mana floating? Because Tendrils doesn't do it. Unless they Tendrils us just to try to buy some time? Alright. Wasteland's pretty nice. I think here I'm just going to Green Suns for another Reliquary. Is that what I want? Collector Ouphe is interesting, but I think I really just want a threat at this point. Thoughtseize is fine. Ooh, Deafening Silence. Nice. I guess we start attacking. Swords would be nice, but we took them all out. Another Hierarch's kind of cool, because it nearly changes the clock. I guess it turns off fetch lands. Unless they win off the fetch. Screws. Ooh, Screws is actually kind of nice. We have 2 creatures to eat as well, so... Okay. Okay. Pretty lucky there. They do have tendrils, yeah. But I think we definitely could have eaten it in response to anything they cast, which is kind of nice. I think we just run back, honestly. Hopefully get more of those Deafening Silence. This hand's pretty nice. I'm going to keep this. The Tormod's Crypt is really nice against the plan if they are trying to go for a Past in Flames kill. And the double up on Thalia means that Thoughtseize doesn't do a whole lot. Please don't go off turn 1. Please don't go off turn 1. Please pass me the turn. What did they do with this? The Preordain put 2 cards on top. Interesting. Ooh, Surgical's kind of nice. Interesting. I could Surgical the Preordain to make them shuffle the 2 cards away, but I think the Surgical probably has better cards to hit. So we're going to go for Hierarch and then play the Tormod's Crypt. Yeah, he did draw one of them, so I guess we could shuffle one away. What's nice with the, Ouphe. Cabal. Cabal doesn't do anything here, because they don't have Threshold. It's just 3 mana. LED is going to be fine. Infernal Tutor. They're going to hold priority? I guess they're going for Ad Nauseam. So what if we take out the Lotus Petals here? They haven't played a land drop, so they can still get mana. Do we take the Infernal Tutors? Or do we take the LED? Because the LED means they can't turn off. I think we just go for LED here. One Past, one Massacre, one Echoing Truth. Okay. Alright. Let's see what you got. I guess they can just ritual themselves into a Tendrils? If they draw Tendrils as well. I mean, they have to hit a winning card in hand, correct? Because the Infernal Tutors are turned off. Oh, they're at 2. I don't think they can win this. I think the Past in Flames really choke them. But maybe they can. I wonder if I just Tormont's Crypt in response to this, because with their hand, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, yeah. I think we just Crypt here. Because there's no way for them to draw a card. And I don't want to give them Threshold. Does it matter if I give them Threshold? I guess I just didn't want them to cast a Cabal Ritual in response and get the full 5 mana. What's their plan? What's their plan, Jack? What do you see? What about Von Snickety? Von, if you're there. What do you see? I guess if we draw... You have the Echoing Truth, so they can't even... Oof, Echoing Truth is really good. Maybe I should have kept the Torn Crypt around. Interesting. What do we draw? Green Suns. Green Suns doesn't really do it. I guess we can attack with Noble Hierarch. And then play Thalia out. Which they bounce. But it's not the worst. They dropped an Echoing Truce. They still have a Chain of Vapor. Still pretty happy to put them down to 1. Turn off fetch lands. They chain this end step. If they chain it, we definitely bounce a land, correct? Because... Ah, non-land permanent, okay. Ah, that's right, you sacrifice a land to get the effect. Alright. Yeah, maybe the crypt was just too early, and that's just down to negligence. Rough. That's a really good point though. So what my opponent did was maybe play for me to make the mistake and give them a line to actually win the game, and that's exactly what happened with the Tormund's Crypt. Which is rough. It is a game of millimeters. Rough. But we have a game 3, which is really nice. So we'll see how this goes. There are times here as well where I really wish the Ethersworn Canonist was the third Deafening Silence. Especially in that game against Show and Tell, it would be nice to play turn 1 Deafening Silence, turn 2 Thalia. But that is just Magic sometimes. On the play, which is really nice. This hand is okay. We're going to keep this. Going to go for a turn 1 Hierarch off a Savannah. Yeah, I think there's going to be Storms here as well, but obviously not. I don't mind just Tracker here. I could also go for Noble and Mum. The thing is, if this is something like Miracles, I don't want to overcommit to the board. I don't mind just playing Tracker here. Getting a threat on the board, and then maybe getting a hit off it next turn as well. But even getting a Force of Will is really nice, so that's going to be fine. Interesting to see the Tundra come down. So here I don't mind Equip. Attack. The Ponder most likely did not shuffle. They chose to shuffle, actually, which is kind of nice. Oh, don't. Ah. All good. I meant to use my mana there. I didn't want to trade the Noble for the Snapcaster, so I was happy they're using my swords. I can also save this Windswept Heath for a Dryad Arbor, which is kind of nice. Interesting, no lands. Yeah, I definitely didn't want to attack with both creatures there. I play the Wasteland there because if they try to Swords the Dryad Arbor like in response, then at least we get to use the mana to cast Aven Mindcensor. They should actually allow me to probably like remove it in response to the trigger, but no, okay. That's kind of nice. We definitely hit the Mystic Sanctuary here. Keep them off as much mana as possible. And if they didn't have an answer then, I don't think they will after this draw step because the Brainstorm is still on top. Okay. This looks like an AK. EE for 2. That's going to be fine. Cradle. Happy just to pump here because of the EE. Play the land and pass. Interesting. They should definitely pop the E now because if they do it in our turn, we can just use it to actually pump up the Dryad Arbor. Counterspell. Okay, so we're gonna get to attack again, which is kind of nice. I'm going to keep this in hand for now. Probably the reason not to is in case they flip a Terminus on top. We can go and fetch the Dryad Arbor again. But they're actually going to allow us to go to our turn, which is a pretty big stuff up, I think. Because it means we just get to pump this Dryad Arbor and attack for lethal. Guess we'll see. Yeah, now we just get to pump.
Yay!
Classic. Okay. Choke is great. Gideon's great. I don't mind Cannon. Canonist is interesting. So I probably want to go down on Source to Plowshares in this matchup. That's the big card that I want to drop. Maybe even some number of Noble Hierarchs. And I think just because the matchup is that bad, I kind of want to bring in Surgical. Knight doesn't seem that bad as just a sort of Swiss Army knife, especially if they have something like Back to Basics. Even getting like an untimed Engineer is pretty nice. So I might even just bring in Canonist because it can slow down like the Snapcaster plan, the Mentor plan. I'm just gonna go like this. I think the Chokes and Gideons are enough. They're probably the main things that I want to bring in. Everything else is kind of okay to less great. But this hand's great. We'll keep this. Interesting for my opponent there not to actually use the EE. That was pretty big. That's fine. I'm actually pretty happy here to go for Stoneforge and Mum. The Swords is fine. It means they probably don't have Terminus, and most likely have something like Sword of Snapcaster into Sword, so I'm actually going to go for Batterskull here. Just to make sure they go for the Stoneforge, and then hopefully I can untap and just cast this Choke. Oh no. Are they going to Portent again? Okay, then we're going to Swords. That's fine. I thought they tapped their mana wrong for a second. But luckily... Thalia. Still happy to go for Choke here. Nice. And now we can attack with the Stoneforge with Exalted. A land would be great here because it means we can cast Thalia and Batterskull. I think here I'm just going to play Mum and then hold up Batterskull. I actually don't mind just going for Sword of Fire and Ice. I think Batterskull is great, but Sword of Fire and Ice here is just such a blowout as well. And I want to start drawing some lands so I can actually start going a little bit more wide on the board. But maybe I don't care. Actually, I do. I think I just want to start applying pressure. Even if I draw a land here, which we don't, we're just going to go hard on this Swords plan. This could be Disenchant. Most likely going on the Choke though, not the Sword. I guess we'll see. Wow. Going for the Blind Terminus? Rough. Alright, at least we're on the scoreboard. Choke there, just showing you how good it can be. There's a really nice Haymaker. Although Astrolabe has been making some of the decks that Choke is usually great against not that great. Yeah, to be fair, the player could have picked up Miracles, you know, recently and still getting the hang of it, or they might have just been having an off night. But yeah, always nice to get the win against Miracles, especially for Maverick. It's traditionally a pretty tough matchup. Terminus is really nice at sort of denying our ability to go wide, which is probably Maverick's best attack plan. Just putting out a bunch of creatures that are better than opposing creatures and just sort of beating down. I am liking the banned Miracles lists that are showing up. Oko is pretty hard to deal with. Oko definitely makes it a ton harder as well. Luckily, it can be Abrupt Decade, but it's not the greatest trade when they've already got value off it, either through a food or making one of your creatures kind of irrelevant as a 3/3 vanilla creature. But yeah, Veil of Summer as well in the main deck has been pretty cool to see, especially in a lot of different matches, a lot of different archetypes. Even some Storm players playing it in the main deck. We're on the play against MW94GA, and this hand's fine. It's got Stoneforge for the unfair decks. It's got Thalia for the fair decks. Wasteland's a bit of interaction. The Sword's a payoff for the mana we're keeping. So happy to keep this. Trop Delver, okay. Savannah Pass. Another Delver's pretty good. A double Delver start is pretty rough for Maverick. Especially once they inevitably flip. So I'm just going to go for another Thalia here. I'm just going to go for Thalia here. I think Thalia is the biggest payoff. And I'd probably rather the Stoneforge to stay around and not be something like Dazed. It does mean Thalias that we draw as well are going to be live straight away. Oof, Decay. Hierarch. This is tough. We have the opportunity to Wasteland our opponent, go to second main and cast a Stoneforge. I think we have to get the Knight on board, but we have the Trop there as well. So we can play out Noble Hierarch and Stoneforge Mystic. We can Wasteland and Stoneforge. I don't think that's enough. I think we have to go for Jitte. And get multiple creatures on board. I think Batterskull is just too slow, especially when we know they have Abrupt Decay. I don't think we care about Wastelanding here. I think we care about playing the Jitte next turn around Days. Pretty much dead either way. I guess if we draw Swords to Plowshares, we can do it. Rough. Alright. Path seems great. Choke seems great. Questing Beast probably a little bit too slow. I think Batterskull's pretty bad in this matchup, especially with the decays there. I don't mind dropping Questing Beast, Gaddock Teeg, Pridemage. I don't mind Gideon because of Plague Engineer. Probably happy to drop one Knight as well. And just stick with this. We haven't seen Oko's yet, so we definitely don't know about Oko. We can suspect it, but I think the mums will do a pretty good job if we can get them online early. But being open to Plague Engineer is always tough. Aven doesn't do too much. Aven's mainly there to block Delver in the air. Scryb Ranger's only our other flyer, so we'll see how that goes. Tireless Tracker is probably a little bit better than against the Rogue decks where Bolt's in the deck. Even just the ability to get some extra draws can be really nice, especially when we have to dig pretty deep for the paths and swords. I would love to play first. This sounds great. We'll keep this. I'm gonna go for Forest into Dryad Arbor. And pass. It's only one white source. I don't really want to put it out in front of Wasteland. Especially if my opponent picks up on that. I don't think they would, but it's always something to consider. Windswept Heath is nice. So now we get to get a basic. I could just jam Knight if I really wanted to. Knight probably has the best payoff. And I don't think they'd keep in days on the draw. Knight's also a must-answer threat against a deck that most likely just runs duels. Yeah, Bug Delver is very cool. I think if I went back to a lands-based deck, Bug would definitely be up there. Especially the old school versions with the old school versions with Tombstalker are very cool. The one nice thing against Oko decks is that Screws actually keeps its counters if it gets turned into an elk. I'm gonna force this. They're playing Stifle, interesting. This is pretty scary stuff. I mean, Oko or True Name are pretty bad for us. Aven. I think I'm happy getting my Jitte turned into an elk. I don't think there's a great line to try to attack Oko without playing the Jitte that turn. So definitely just gain life here. Brought in Bog, interesting. Ramunap, interesting. I guess we can swords this. Play Ramunap. Force pitching Ponder, okay. Attack both at Oko. I guess we attack both at Oko. Library's pretty good. Path. Doesn't do a whole lot. This is where it's really awkward because I want to be attacking my opponent, but I also want to get rid of this Oko. They can even just take 8 here pretty easily. We don't have any great threats on board. No real pressure. Especially if there's a removal spell in there. They're at least taking 1. Path actually works pretty nice with Aven Mindcensor. Even though this is a deck that most likely doesn't play basics, they do have some nice synergy together. Chose to shuffle with the Delver's fine. Pretty happy to hold this path until our turn. Hierarch's interesting. Don't have removal. Don't have removal. Don't have removal. Alright, a small win. Brainstorm, okay. Tough. We do have a 3-turn clock if we can deal with this blocking Delver. But it's going to be tough. Alright. Wasteland. I guess we can take him off double black if that's relevant. Definitely attack first. I meant to play the Wasteland. Misplay. I was going to Wasteland in their turn just so they can't Fatal Push our Aven Mindcensor, but they most likely had it in their turn anyway, so they most likely did not have Fatal Push. If they attack with both, I'm pretty happy to take it. We will be... It is a 2-turn clock, but we do have blockers, hopefully, for that turn. I was going to keep the Stoneforge around because of equipment, but with Cradle and our current mana, I actually don't mind just throwing away the Stoneforge this turn. In case next turn they just have removal for the creatures that could block. So I'm going to block once. Do we still have Questing Beast? I think so? No. Then I definitely would have kept a land and probably got Tireless Tracker. Fatal Push. Okay. Interesting that they went after my Mana Dork and not after the Aven Mindcensor. Definitely should have checked my sideboard there, just to make sure that I didn't have Questing Beast in the main deck, because we can easily see it here. Interesting not attack with both, because we don't have a way to actually pump the Knight. Yeah, that's true. They couldn't. Yeah, they couldn't punish the Knight. So, what do we want to do here? They could maybe kill the Knight here, take 2, and then maybe even just counter this Knight or find removal for it. If I Wasteland up the damage, I lose my Knight. It's only a 3/3. I could have wasted myself, I guess. Is I believe Fatal Push is permanent new control. Interesting. Interesting line. Okay. Well, we're just gonna win it. Do I care about anything? Maybe the Knight. Seeing that we saw the Sylvan Library, I just want to have a creature that can deal with Sylvan Library in the deck. And I might take out a Thalia on the draw. Rough. Wasteland hand again. This is fine. We'll bottom the Dryad Arbor. Just to play around Stifle as well, which we saw in game 2. I'm happy just to fetch up for a basic forest here. And pass. Windswept, interesting. I'm going to go for Canopy Pass. Thalia, interesting. I don't mind Thalia, even if I'm going to lose the Horizon Canopy. I'm pretty happy untapping here in Swordsing instead of casting swords here, just to play around days a little bit. Goif's gonna be fine. Mindcensor. See if we can bait out a Stifle. Looks like they have it. Rough. Take 4 here, go to 11. Play a Knight here. Scryb Ranger. Canopy here really adding up. I've already taken nearly 6 points from it. Only 2. The list only ever runs 2. Definitely take this. Green Suns. Could Green Suns for Skoos? I'm not sure of the last card in hand, so I could play a Scryb Ranger. I don't mind attacking first. Untap Knight, return the forest, play the forest, float 1, 2, sack this. Cradle. This kind of means the Skoos is going to be on chump duties as well, and I just used all of it, didn't I? I guess we just get another night here. Rough. Pond is pretty good. So worst case is removal for the night, Lily tick up on Scryb Ranger. We can't untap because we have no forests to return. That's pretty close to it. I'm getting to a stage where I can't even attack. I can't even use my mana effectively. Because I can't even play Ramunap and then Windswept Heath for Dryad Arbor to block the Goyf. I think I'm literally just dead. Sadly, the Canopies and the Windswept Heath just don't line up. I guess I can Aven Mindcensor in their turn just to block at instant speed. Episode 25, welcome. It's a 6/6, so I can kill the Oko. I definitely have to kill a creature here. Sorry, a Planeswalker. And I think it's Oko. Killing Lily is really nice because it means that all my X1s are turned on. So like my Noble Hierarchs. I even have the option of Green Suns for Dryad Arbor and then hold up Aven Mindcensor off one Canopy and Gaea's Cradle. Yeah, I don't mind. Kill the Lily. Green Suns for Dryad Arbor, hold up Aven Mindcensor. What did my opponent do with the Ponder? They chose not to shuffle. Ugh. That's rough. Block with the Arbor. Before damage. Oh. Oh, wow. I tried to click it. Surely I could have clicked it there. It had Summoning Sickness, that's why. Oh, the Cradle taps for 2. No! No! Oh, it's the Cradle that taps for 2 mana. It is the Cradle that taps for 2 mana, not the Dryad Arbor. I have had a long day. I have had a long day. Rough. 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 Ugh. I think in response we just try to draw a card here. Oko just so good. Rough. It's the Cradle, it's house for 2 mana. Ugh. I just miss black. I miss black, I miss Sylvan Library. But we said we'll give it a crack. And here we are. Rough. Oko is rough, because it's not broken, it's not unfair, it's just really annoying. Especially for the creature decks that I love. Just poor timing. I mean, even if we get the Aven online there, it's still rough times. My opponent's at 18 life. Like, they have an Oko online. It's pretty rough. Shake Lion. Okay. This hand's fine. We'll keep it. So Windswept Heath can get both lands. Verdant Catacombs can get Forest. I'm going to play the Windswept Heath and pass. I don't want to draw the planes either, so I'm happy to fetch now. I don't think Misty and Snow-Covered Island give away Bant Miracles straight away. Brainstorm is fine. If this trades for a Terminus, I'd be pretty happy. They're gonna they're gonna shuffle some cards away. Preordain's okay. Two cards on the bottom. That's pretty nice for us. I'm gonna fetch up a Jewel Land here and play Knight. Jack, what's that about that it being a given? Okay, that's not too bad. We have Green Suns at least. And they are tapped out, so they can't do anything. And then we can actually cast this Green Suns for, like, Qasali Pridemage. So Mum's pretty much a free card here. Actually, Knight of Autumn's in the sideboard, so let's go for 1, 2, 3, 4. Qasali. Use... I guess we can attack first. Do we want to use this mana? I guess we can put in a sword if we want to. They're just going to go to... Okay, concession. Nice. To be fair, I would also think that a Miracles deck would play a cantrip on turn 1. I don't think that's too far-fetched to think about either. Let's go for Choke. We'll definitely go for Banishing Light. I definitely like Canonist, and I also like Deafening Silence. Knight of Autumn's pretty nice as well. Swords can most likely just come out. Same with Batterskull and Questing Beast. Same with Screws, and probably Ramunap. And just go with this for what we've seen so far. Collector was interesting, but I don't think it's worth it. Sounds actually fine. We're going to keep this. Wasteland. I'm just going to Green Suns here for Dryad Arbor. Off a Savannah. Am I getting Savannah? I'm just going to go for a basic. Oh, City Traders. Here we go. Bang. Alright. Well, we have Banishing Light. Does it work? It does, okay. Now we have Wasteland, which is kind of nice. Bada bing, bada boom. I couldn't have said it better, Buloid. Pond is fine. I wonder if they go fetch pass, because if they do, then I really want to hold up this Aven Mindcensor instead of playing the sword next turn. Just a snow-covered plains, okay. Well then. Oh, Tireless Tracker. I think I just want to hold up Aven Mindcensor. It definitely has the biggest upside. I mean, hitting a land of my opponents would be very nice. It's not going to happen. Alright. What do we put in? I think we put in Tireless Tracker. It at least allows us to draw into, hopefully, Karakas. I think now I just want to draw cards. Windswept Heath. Wasteland. Sadly, they both kind of do the same thing. I guess Wasteland isn't that great when my opponent's going to draw another 7. I guess we play the Canopy because it means that we have one more turn to hopefully draw into Karakas. Because we took out the Swords of Plowshares. I think I'm pretty happy to draw here as well. Just to see what we draw into. Because if I draw into like a mum, I want to play it. Verdant. I played the Canopy because Canopy is only 1 mana to actually draw a card, so if I really am looking pretty deep for something like Karakas, then it does give me a bit more mana to play with. Another show and tell. Interesting. I guess fetch actually isn't too bad here. I don't think the Sword and Aven are doing too much anyway. And we're likely just dead here if they're putting in Omniscience. Well dead. Maybe just a bit too fair of a keep, to be honest. But I'm still pretty happy just to run back what we had. Don't want to change too much. I'd love to play first. This hand's not too bad. It's a little bit slow. The choke's really our only payoff. But is it good enough? We're kind of dirtling for the first few turns, and if the choke doesn't resolve, then we don't really have anything. I think I'm actually in the camp to mull this. It's just a little bit too fair. If the mum was a Hierarch, I would be much more inclined. I think we have too many good turn 1 plays like Deafening Silence. And this hand's actually great. Keep this, and I'm going to bottom the Cradle. Scryb Ranger makes everything kind of free. So there's little advantages to Banishing Light over Oblivion Ring and the other way around. So Banishing Light can only target stuff your opponents control. So say if your opponent has a Gomag Angler and you have a Knight of the Reliquary and you cast Banishing Light, it can only take the Gomag Angler. But if you cast a Oblivion Ring and they Fatal Push or destroy their own Gomag Angler, by some way that maybe they dismember their own Gomag Angler, and they can't use Dismember on the Knight of the Reliquary because it's an 8/8. What happens then is the O-Ring exiles your own Knight. The other thing with O-Ring is that, well, the benefit is that you can actually get a bit more off it, especially with Qasali Pridemage. So if you play a Oblivion Ring and then with the trigger in the stack you blow it up with a Qasali Pridemage, whatever you target gets taken away forever, because the trigger for the item to come back happens before the item actually gets taken away. But you often see a lot more Oblivion Ring in Legacy because it's better with Flicker Wisp in Maverick. Sorry, in Death and Taxes. Oof. I think we just go for Knight here. They are not the colors that we need. There we go. O-Ring versus Council's Judgment is pretty interesting. Council's is just so nice because it's so clean. I mean, there's so much Abrupt Decay around now as well. Oof. Rough. That was a 1/4. Wow, that was a 1/4. Welcome back, Dougal. I'll concede twice. So this was the list. This was the green-white list we played with, which I definitely really like. It just didn't really come together tonight. I definitely like the third Deafening Silence over Canonist. I just didn't order a third Silence off our card hoarder and already had a Canonist, so Canonist is also nice because it works against things like Elves a lot better than Deafening Silence would. But I think, although tonight's performance was obviously pretty shit, the deck is definitely in a really good spot. There's a lot of really good people doing some pretty busted things with Maverick right now. Julian's 5-0'd and 4'd1 with this list a few times. Dan Neely's playing a spicy green-white version with Planeswalkers in the main deck in Vivian and I believe Gideon at Ally of Zendikar, which is very cool. It's just the Delver decks are really good right now, and only having the 4 Swords to Plowshares in the main deck with nothing like Ponder or Brainstorm or even Sylvan Library, it's pretty hard to keep a hand without them and then try to find them quick enough to actually stop the Delver player from just protecting the Queen and getting away with the win. Questing Beast as well is interesting. I actually kind of like shifting Ceratops right now over Questing Beast. As fun as it has been to play with Questing Beast, I think shifting Ceratops just has the edge right now, not being able to get countered. And the Pro Blue just means it swings through pretty much everything you care about as well. The one thing that Questing Beast does have over Ceratops is that it can't be blocked by Plague Engineer, which is pretty big. But both get stopped by Goyf, both get stopped by the 3/3 Elks as well, which is pretty rough. But that is me. A huge thank you to you guys for coming in and watching. My name is Dukes on Twitch. I stream on Wednesdays at 7:30 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time, and also on Sunday mornings usually at around 10 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time. I think I'll definitely come back to maybe a bug version of Maverick that I was working on, but we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, I think it's just staying on Greenwhite Black that I really enjoy, which has just been a ton of fun to play, and the Abrupt Decays really help against the Delver decks, not only taking out Delver, but also True Name, Oko, Plague Engineer, you name it. Abrupt Decay is probably one of the better removal spells right now in Legacy. But that is me. A huge thank you to you guys for coming in. If you're on Twitter, you can catch me at Twitter at Dukes on Twitch. You can catch me on YouTube at /C/Dukes on Twitch. Enjoy your weeks ahead, and I will see you next week. Cheers.